A very good evening to all the assembled members of the community, poetry enthusiasts, and people who love music, arts, and culture. So, like all events, we are very happy that you have supported us and you have taken time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with us. And so far, so good. It has been a nostalgic evening. Thanks to the wonderful performance by budding musician out there, Saurabh. A round of applause for Major Sahib. And when I say the word BPC, Bhubaneswar Poetry Club, the words that come to my mind immediately is it's all about poetry, people, performances, and also an underlying thing of passion. And till now, my journey with BPC, I have learned one thing, that you can learn many things just by having conversations with some like-minded individuals or not so like-minded individuals, but everybody brings their piece of story. And the person who is not exactly a guest because he is a part of the old guard, our mentor and founder, Mr. Anshuman, he inspired many people to come together and coalesce into this club that has been going on for the past 8 years with a lot of events. And it all started because of this fine gentleman here. A big round of applause once again. And I bet that your hands will be hurting by the time it is finished. So let us get some vibes from him because he has given so much of, taking his time out and has agreed to spend his time with us.
Thank you for all the wonderful things you've said. I mean, all of that happened, but I have not written anything in a long time. So I just feel weird and awkward sitting here. But yeah, if we can talk about how this journey has come to pass.
Let us get back to your childhood. I mean, through and through, you're brought up and born in Bhubaneswar. Brought up in Bhubaneswar. Could you please tell us about the thing with poetry, how it started?
Like I said, I've always been the weird, awkward person. Most of my friends adopted me. When I started working, that's where, I don't know, maybe something clicked. And then I started writing some more. Writing in general for me. I was never good in English or literature. It was just I had some words, I had some ideas, tried to put them together. People seemed to relate with it. It helped me process my own feelings, and that just kept on happening.
Do you think that a poet is actually a child of his times?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as a child, like most of us are, I still don't believe that I'm 35 years old. Inner child is a big source of inspiration.
As a person who feels deeply and who is empathetic to the surroundings that he lives in, which is clearly you are, so what is the most important asymmetry or paradox you would see that has come over the past 20 years, and in what way it has influenced your poetry?
I mean, I wouldn't say it is a paradox, but what I've seen over the years is you're not encouraged to express as much in many things as you keep suppressed, and that kind of manifests in different ways, whether it's through art or on the positive side of the spectrum or something else. And that has become, there's more awareness around it, so people are now speaking up. They know how to attach words to feelings and emotions, talk about it. They're more open, they're more empathetic towards each other, understanding. I think that has changed a lot, and that, not that I have become adept at it, but I guess I'm a lot better at expressing those now verbally. And maybe that has put a pause on my writing, that I don't need to write as much as I had to before. So it's a good sign, but also, I miss writing sometimes.
People often say that, they often say that they have an angst, that we haven't written the perfect poem that we wanted to. Sometimes do you feel that almighty?
For me personally, writing and poetry has been like the most consistent companion I've had. So it's like one of those friends where you don't talk to for a long time, and then you meet them after a long time, and then time hasn't passed. So it has been like that. So I've written continuously for 5 years, then nothing for 3 years, and then I've written again for another 6 years. So in each of those phases, there have been poems that are very close to my heart and I'm very proud of. So yeah, there's still time, but I don't think there's this one poem that I haven't written yet. They've always reflected different phases of my life, and I hope that keeps happening till I can.
Which particular thing affects you the most when you look out at the world at large, as of now, in the current situation or current scenario? Which particular aspect you feel, this is something which is underrepresented, something more should be written about it, some more conversation should happen on it. People should just, bang some heads, I mean their heads, not literally, I mean just brainstorm or something. A lot of discussion should happen on it. It is pretty underrepresented. Any cognitive aspect of lives that we lead, or the individual case of existence or human existence, when you examine the individual's existence.
Yeah, I mean, all of that I think has already been the central topic of writing for a very long time, and what I've also seen, and everybody's observed, that with spoken word poetry, that gave voice to a lot of topics and themes that was underrepresented for a long time, be it about the sufferings of a certain group, or social justice. So I think a lot of these themes are being, or has been given voice, and has been brought forward. As to what I feel is still underrepresented, this might sound very shallow. I think we can have a little more fun with it as well. Just I don't know, funny poems, light poems, things about everyday things, limericks, and just use it as a medium for having a nice, light-hearted evening as well.
Yeah. So coming to that, I would like to ask you a question. You said that poetry should not be judged. Okay. And at the same time, you are an exponent of spoken word. My two questions would be, why do you say, or what is your definition of the word judging a poem or judgment behind a poetry? And how it is linked to spoken word that makes it different from the written word?
So for the longest time, like I said, I was never good at English or literature, and when you grow up reading poems in textbooks, the idea is that if you had to write anything, it had to be literature, right?
But it should not be so.
It should not be, right? You are studying poetry, you're like breaking everything down, and
mathematically, critical
applying formulas and stuff, which is totally fine. I mean, that is totally fine. But that instilled this idea that when you write, it had to be
coming within those parameters.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it is not poetry.
It's not poetry. It's not writing. And when I was first exposed to spoken word poetry, that idea was challenged, and that was very liberating. Where you didn't have to have like a rhyming scheme per se. Like, I mean, there are rhythms and everything. You could talk about many different things, and it kind of challenged the norms. And then I was able to relate to that. Like, okay, I know English, and I'm feeling this, or I'm thinking about this, and I could probably write something with it. What if you have A and B, put it together, and
just experiment.
Just experiment, right? So that was what really attracted me towards this form. And when I talked about judging, is like a lot of times, again, like I am not a poet, right? So I just enjoy writing. And when we started BPC, well, technically it was not BPC back then.
Bhubaneswar Poetry Slam.
Slam, yeah. And people would come and show me their poems and ask me if it's good. For me, every poem is good. Like, how am I supposed to judge something that is so personal to people, right? So it's not about judging what is written. What I can maybe help with is, okay, you could maybe shorten the line here or use an alternative word or something like that. But how are you to judge something that is so personal to people where they have, gone against their basic instinct to kind of try to pour that emotion in it? So for me, every poem is a good poem. I still don't know how you can judge something as good or bad. So yeah, that's basically the idea that not everything has to be literature as long as it is honest, and somebody had the courage to write it and speak it out in front of people.
That's what matters in the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, coming to Bhubaneswar Poetry Club, how do you feel? 8 years have passed by. How do you feel when you return home and back to Bhubaneswar Poetry Club?
I feel so proud. Like people ask me, like, what is your biggest achievement in your life, and this is it. Even though I haven't really directly contributed, but this is the proudest I've been. Like, we did not even think of this becoming what it has become, and I just wanted to bring something that I really connected with and gave me a sense of community to my hometown when I was here. We started off with 6, 7, 8 people, and now seeing what other people have done with it, and how the community has grown, and it has given the space to so many people. I'm super proud of it.
Well, we are actually bringing out this newsletter. So this is the newsletter.
This is wonderful.
So here we also let loose a little. So as you can see, in each different edition, we just pick out a particular theme. The edition, this edition, the 70th edition. So the theme for this was average, common and normal. So it explores poems which talk about the narrative of average. What is average? What is normal? What is common? Because as you said, the thing which I agree with you is there should not be any defined parameters of brackets. I am this, I am that. We don't know what we are. We are here sitting right now. After 15 minutes when you walk out, we may lose out all the good vibe, and again we'll have the problems of the life pouncing on you like tigers. But still, at the end of the day, if you have something in your heart, that spark in your heart, okay, I met some good people, I had a good time. Zindagi chalti hi jati hai, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this was a small endeavor from our part to connect more with people and to encourage reading more poetry. One more question, Anshuman. Do you feel that people who write poetry have become much more than people who are actually reading poetry?
I mean, technically, reading poetry is just one medium to consume the format, right? I mean, now the videos, audios, all of that. So my gut feeling says the consumer for poetry has increased. Whether more people are reading or consuming it in other channels, that is, I have no idea. But definitely more people are consuming poetry in different formats than they were before.
So people are connecting more with poetry.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you have to say to people who are trying to write poetry? What is your message to them? And what is your message to people who are listening to poetry? Suppose somebody is reading a poem somewhere.
Yeah.
What do you think should be the proper thing or the most appropriate thing for a listener?
The one thing that I've found so fascinating about poetry or any kind of creative media is that it has so many different lives. As a writer, as a poet, you could have written about just sitting on this chair talking to two people, but that could mean so many different things to so many different people or readers. And I think my message to anybody reading or consuming poetry is just to try and connect in whatever way they can to any of the pieces, keeping an open mind, an open heart, no need to analyze too much unless you have to write an exam about that poem. And if you like it, share it, word of appreciation with the poet. I think that also means a lot to everybody. And if you're writing poetry, I would say the thing I said on that first workshop is just to be absolutely honest. I think look for themes that are important to you and just write. Don't try to write what others will like to listen. Write that you want to say, whatever you want to say, and it'll come out well. Language is just a medium. It can always be polished. It can always be improved. But as long as the essence is true and honest, I think you can't really go wrong.
Okay, we're open to any questions for Anshuman.
Maybe if you want to have perform or say something.
A few questions and then
Yeah,
she
maybe.
can go for performance.
I don't have any performances. I can read recent poems. I have a short poem. Okay, so this one's called When You Love a Storm. When you love a storm, remember that you are the lucky one. You were chosen to be broken, to be shaken and woken from life. Remade, rebuilt, redesigned, inside and out. Look around. There's no one left. Nothing else survived but you. And that is beautiful. When you love a storm, remember, you are never wrong. In loving so strong that the world around you collapses, turns into ashes, and your soul turns to dust. Look around. There's nothing left. Everything is frozen but you. And that is beautiful.
So really beautiful.
When you love a storm, remember, you never lose. Even though you're bruised, you seek, you search, and you find your way to freedom. And when it hurts, look around. There's nowhere to go. Everyone is lost but you. And that is beautiful. When you love a storm, remember, you are the lucky one. When you love a storm, remember, you are never wrong. When you love a storm, remember, you are never lost. When you love a storm, remember, there's no one else but you. And that is beautiful.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you for this wonderful evening and
Thank you.
being so candid with us. Because
I hope I didn't make your life more difficult.
no, man. It was, I think, I got to understand a lot of different aspects that you pointed out, and it's pretty sensible the way you look at things. And your poems reflect that sensibility. So it was a wonderful evening listening to two of your good poems, great poems, I would say.
Thank you.
So